I needed to commit myself to post every single day. And then people started asking questions. And then I think it was at that point when I made the decision to start answering questions that was when everything changed for me, because it changed how our world of interior design approaches content today.
Welcome back, everybody, to Ideas of Order, a California Closets podcast dedicated to answering the question, what does home mean to you? I'll be connecting with friends and creators to talk about the memories and the practices that mean the most to us and the spaces that have held us through it all. I'm Jeremiah Brent, and today we're welcoming someone whose thoughtfulness and creativity has transformed countless spaces. You can find nods to her work and creativity in homes everywhere. With an eye for detail, she has a reputation for blending elegance with functionality. She creates environments alongside her husband that holds an effortless warmth. Without further ado, please welcome author, entrepreneur, mother, and interior designer, Shea McGee. Shea, how have we never met?
I don't know. I was actually thinking about that beforehand. I don't know how our paths haven't crossed in person yet.
It's so wild. I have to tell you before we get started, I'm obviously a huge admirer of everything you've built. I think your story is fucking fascinating. And everything you've done, it's just wild. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. You as well. I mean, I saw you on Rachel Zoe. So I mean, that's how old I am, I guess. I still remember that, but
that feels like a million years ago.
Yeah, it does feel like a million years ago.
Well, thank you for doing this today. I'm really, really thankful. And I'm so excited just to learn more about you and your story and kind of dive into kind of where everything began, where you're at now, where you want to go. Like I said, I'm a huge admirer of your work and what you've built is so wild.
Thank you.
Do you ever take a minute and look back, like step back and look at everything and go, wow, look at this?
Not often, but last week was our 10-year anniversary of launching the business. And so I think that is a time to get nostalgic. And we've been doing a lot of reminiscing, but you're so into the everyday that it's sometimes hard to take a step back and actually there's always problems to be fixed and things to be done. And so it's hard to give yourself a pat on the back sometimes.
It's funny. There was this quote that I saw the other day, and I'm going to butcher it, but it's something along the lines that success is earned and the rent's due every single day. And
that's so true.
And that's like, as a business owner, like I think I, especially myself, like I think you just focus so much on moving and continuing to move and protecting, keeping the health of your company successful. So, but congratulations.
Thank you.
Especially as somebody from the outside looking in, not only have you built something that seems to be rooted in thoughtfulness, it has such a clear point of view and a perspective. And that's a testament to you as a leader. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks.
I'm very excited to meet you and I'm excited to learn more about you. I had to ask, have you always had this sense of personal style and design, since you were young?
Yes. I wouldn't say it was always geared towards interiors, but I've always been very interested in personal style and maybe discovering that for myself. I've always loved fashion and clothes, and even from a young age. And I think that as I got older and home became more of a part of my life, then it really started to resonate with me more than clothing did, because I just felt like I could touch so many surfaces and it felt like a puzzle to me.
Yeah.
So when I was probably, in my early 20s, that was when it started really, for me, it became a complete obsession. I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And then that should have been my early clue that this is what I was to be doing. But I felt so nervous about not being formally trained that I was really scared to fully embrace it.
I went through something similar to that, which I want to get into with you. But what were you like as a kid? So you were obsessed with fashion. Did you redecorate your room all the time? Like, who were you when you were young?
No, I was like rule follower. I needed to get good grades. I needed to do all the things. So my mom has always been someone who cares about her personal style. And she was really into decorating our home. I mean, I don't think that it was, we weren't living a luxurious lifestyle with lots of high-end designers around, but my mom worked at this local shop that sold like gifts and interior pieces. And this was the 90s, I would say, the mid 90s when I started to notice. And imagine the Laura Ashley prints and the Ralph Lauren navies and plaids and florals, which honestly I still really love today. So I guess maybe that's where it really, really started for me. But so she was really into it. And I think that I always took from that, but it wasn't, I was more into my clothes, I think, than anything. But in hindsight, I was around it a lot and heard my mom always talking about, I'd look through her magazines. We were in Texas. So Southern living was a big part of my childhood.
Did you have that room in your house that you weren't allowed to go into?
It was the Laura Ashley couch room.
Of course. She's like, don't you dare.
Don't touch that sofa.
It's funny. I was similar. We didn't grow up with a lot of money, but towards like middle, like in high school, my mom had worked up and like she had like multiple jobs. So she'd hired a decorator finally, and they worked out of like the local store, which was, I think it was called like Portico or something. It was like you could get a candle or a sofa or a birthday card. So it's wild.
I think my mom was working for Essentially Product at the point. Like that was kind of what she was doing. She was there, and then it was like, okay, this month's payment is a new, coffee table or whatever it was.
Do you remember like the first space or room that you've been in that you really fell in love with, that like made a huge impact on you?
I don't know if I can answer that. I will say that when my husband and I got married, my sister-in-law, she was really into making her home feel really beautiful. And still to this day, like that was our very first bonding conversations as sister-in-laws. She had moved into her first home and they had one little girl, and she was like one piecing at it. It was one piece at a time. And she was really into antiques. Yep. And I think that their home always felt just good. It just, when I walked in, it just felt like a hug. And it always smelled good. She loves, we were in Southern California at the time. And so she always had fresh olive branches that she had picked up, and
I love that.
Just really interested in the details. And I think that it was at that time that I thought to myself, this is what I want my home to feel like. And it wasn't about being blown over by the size or magnitude of the home. It was truly just, she loved natural linens. She loved seagrass, and she loved olive branches. And those things really resonated with me. Yeah.
I love that. And is it true that you met your husband through your brother?
Yeah, I did.
Give me the whole story. I love a love story.
So my brother and Sid they were playing like intramural soccer together or something. And
very bro-y.
Yeah, very bro-y. Yes.
Very bro-y. We love that.
And my brother was moving to a new apartment, and he said, my friend Sid is going to be there helping, and you're going to like him, but don't, because he's my friend. So of course I pull in, and Sid's on a skateboard, like hauling all the things. He's using the skateboard as a dolly. And then we started talking, and we just immediately hit it off. And of course, then my brother's like, I know what you're doing, Shea. Like, I know what you're doing. And my mom showed up, she was helping, and Sid asked me for my number. That was those days, right in front of my mom. And we went out the next night, and then we dated off and on for the next couple of years. And then he moved to Southern California, and I followed him. We got married, and I followed him there. And that was where I started my career.
First of all, huge move to go. Where were you living before you moved to Southern California?
I was working at a PR agency in Salt Lake, and that was my degree. So I was working at a PR firm, and then Sid started working for his brother, who had created a startup company that was a digital marketing agency.
Amazing.
And so I mean, that sounded a lot better than where I was. And so I followed, we were married and I followed him there. And then we got our first apartment together in Laguna Niguel, which is near Laguna Beach.
Does that area still hold a lot of importance to you guys?
Yeah. So Sid's from there. So we have a lot of family and it does hold a lot of importance. I think it influenced a lot of the things that I love. We go back there often. It's funny because it was a plan to go back for many, many years. But once you start a company and you have roots and team members and warehouses and things like
health
that.
Insurance.
Health insurance. And your kids are in school, all of a sudden making those, I know you understand moving across the country. It's just, it's a big decision. And right now I feel I love Utah. It's great.
We have so many crazy parallels. I was in school for marketing and advertising in college. Really? Didn't want to do it. I was like, not for me. My husband's also from Southern California. He grew up there. Not the reason I ended up there. But so you said that your career started when you were in Southern California. Is it true? How did it start? I think I know the story, but I want to hear you tell it.
So Sid and I bought our first home and it was in Orange County. And you can imagine this like 2010 time Orange County tract home. So everything was like a faux Tuscan style. It was good.
Oh,
and,
yum.
a lot of brown speckled granite. And it was, I was so excited to be in our first home though. And immediately this was the time when, I was obsessed with Domino magazine and I
remember though, it was like the magazine.
It was the magazine. And
it was it.
It really was very influential in how I approached my business because I don't know if you remember, they did these little arrows and they'd share little insights and designer tips. And
that's what I learned. I learned so much from that magazine.
And I loved that they were speaking to me and they were teaching and they were sharing. And so I was ready. The second I got this first home, I was like, let's paint everything white. So I got to work and let's replace all the granite with marble. So that was my approach. And I started doing this and in our neighborhood, that was very unusual. People didn't understand, but they liked it. They were surprised by the decision. And I had one client. Well, I would say let's start with the first client. So I posted on my Instagram. It was my personal Instagram. It just had a couple of hundred followers. And that was the posts of my own home. Those were the ones that were getting the most engagement. And then I had one woman reach out to me and say, hey, I have some bookshelves that need to be restyled in my piano room. And I am early, mid-20s at the time. And I walk into this home and it was not my tract home. It was a very, very nice home in Orange County. And I didn't even know what I was going to charge. I had never done anything before. And I was like, this is my opportunity. So I style these bookshelves. I take a photo and I realize I can't afford a website, but I could start an Instagram account for free. And there weren't really any Instagram influencers at the time. No one was doing that, but I was following fashion influencers.
Yeah.
And so I posted my first bookshelf photo and then I started patterning myself after what the fashion influencers were doing. And was posting. I needed to commit myself to post every single day. And then people started asking questions. And then I think it was at that point when I made the decision to start answering questions that was when everything changed for me because it changed how our world of interior design approaches content today.
Yeah, I feel kind of comfortable saying that I feel like you were on the forefront of one of the first people to really latch on to social media and use it the way that you've done it, not only to promote your business, but to tell your story, which I think is so beautiful. But I love hearing that it all started from that fashion, that interest in fashion, because it's very similar to myself. I was never thoughtful enough to think about social media because I'm so bad at it, but I think you do such a beautiful job and you've always done such a beautiful job. And so that's really what started your design career. Where did you go from there? Because it's one thing to want to do it. It's another thing to build what you've built.
Right. Those early days, I committed myself to posting every day. And so I had to get creative because I didn't have that many projects. So it was a lot
Right.
of posting about things around my home and posting just the progress there. And then the one set of bookshelves became a room, which became more rooms, which became full homes. Right. And it happened very quickly. I think I was really lucky to live in a place where there were a lot of people that were interested in design, because once one person hired me, it was word spread kind of in the community. And I started really realizing that documenting my own life and what was happening there also was an important part of my business.
Were you terrified?
Yes and no. I think that I was really excited by it, and I saw it as a challenge. And I was realizing that with every project and everything that went wrong, I was learning from. I wanted so desperately to be good that I was going to do anything. And Sid just kept telling me, the 10,000 hour rule, where you can't become an expert at something until you put in lots and lots of time. And so I just had that in the back of my head that, like, well, if I want to be good, then I just need to keep doing as much of it as possible. And I was working myself to the ground, but I loved it.
And what did good mean to you? Like, what was the marker for good?
That's a good question, because I think that's subjective. But for me, it was running a successful business and having the ability to only take on the projects that I really wanted to take on.
Love that. Did you end up doing design classes or anything?
I did. I went to a local community college and kind of went through, and a lot of the courses were already things that I had taken kind of in the business realm when I went to college just a couple of years before I decided to change careers. Right. And so it was like space planning, CAD, codes, kitchen design, those types of things. I just kind of handpicked my courses. And at that time, as I was getting more and more clients, I found out I was pregnant, and it kind of all at the same time.
No, you were at school at the same time you were pregnant?
What's funny is that, like, I don't know what would show on my record, but one day I just said, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing this anymore. And I never went back to school. So I'm still probably showing as a failure at Saddleback Community College.
I love that. Saddleback, if you're listening, it worked out for her. Leave her alone. That's so wild. It's interesting because similarly.
Did you take classes?
I tried, but I was like, I have a very different, like, I think we probably have a similar personality type where I was like, I'll figure it out. This is wasting my time. I'd rather get out there and build and grow and build and grow. And I think, especially if you have the desire to start a company, you realize what you're good at and then also what you're not good at. And if you're smart, you supplement those people in that can kind of pick up in those areas. And that's kind of what I did. I'm going to ask you, my career started off in a similar way. Also was totally by accident. I mean, I've always loved interiors, but I also was obsessed with fashion, which I think still influences my style. And it kind of just evolved into everything. Would you remember a particular moment where you looked around and you were like, I believe that I'm really good at this?
So, I mean, sometimes I still question that. But
isn't that wild?
I think that I had a moment. It was after we had started Studio McGee, and I had finished it was my first ground up construction project from start to finish, a fully custom home in a really high-end mountain home community here in Utah. And when we finished the project, I mean, I had never designed, the homes that I design now, I don't bat an eye when I see there's 10 bathrooms in the home. But when I looked at those plans, I had never seen something of that scale. And I was like, I'm overwhelmed by one bathroom. How am I going to do this many? And I did it. And I think I did it, and it was getting so much response and positivity that every project I build a little bit more confidence. And I think that it comes naturally to me. I kind of get into a zone and I get really, really focused on things almost to a fault.
Yeah.
When it comes to making room for what belongs, California Closets delivers highly personalized storage solutions for the whole home. From beautifully crafted custom closets and hardworking home offices to multi-purpose media rooms, California Closets, professional designers and expert installers bring your vision to life. We call it practical magic. Ready to take the next step? Visit us online at californiaclosets.com and schedule your free design consultation today.
Did you know that 80% of B2B interactions are now happening in digital spaces? So how do we stay truly connected? Hi there, I'm Amanda Schneider, founder and president at ThinkLab, and host of the Design Nerds Anonymous podcast. Our brand new season is coming soon, and we're diving into how the design industry can thrive in this phygital world. We'll hear from experts inside and outside the industry, uncover real strategies for rethinking industry events, reinventing B2B showroom experiences, and even using AI to level up our teams. The new season drops April 3rd, so subscribe now to Design Nerds Anonymous wherever you get your podcasts.
Going back to school a little bit, I was going in and no one was talking about style. And that for me was a really big turning point. And when I realized I don't think I'm ever going to be the fastest at CAD. And I don't think I'm ever going to be the person that can sketch the chair the best in this classroom. Yeah. However, I am showing up and I have a better understanding of textiles and materials and the way things like speak in harmony together.
The rhythm.
Yes, exactly. And at that point, that was where my strong suit was. And then I needed to hire people to help make up for the areas because I can see the vision and I can feel it almost, as you said, like a rhythm, like it just speaks to me. And I just know instinctually what something should feel like or what I want it to feel like. And that wasn't being taught in school.
I love that. It's kind of like this blend of instinct, passion, and blind excitement.
Just going for it. Yeah.
Because it's just true. I mean, at that point, I remember so beautifully, I just had the audacity to try. I was like, well, if I fail, I'm going to fail, which I think is obviously still how I move through the world. But it sounds
and I'm so jealous
similar.
of that. I'm so jealous of that.
Really? I feel like you'd be that way.
No, I will stew over it for a long time until I feel the confidence. And you're right. I haven't let anything stop me, but it takes me, I don't do it without a lot of maybe anxiety around it.
Well, whatever you're working through, it's paying off. Can I ask you, wanting to create a design firm is one thing, as I'm sure you've been asked a million times, but actually creating one, sustaining one, scaling one is really complicated. For you, what tools were the most helpful in establishing your business?
I will say that scaling a design firm is really, really difficult. And when Sid and I decided to go into business together,
which we're going to talk about next.
Oh, okay. We'll talk about that next. But, our goal is actually to build a brand. We wanted to build a brand. We were less interested in scaling the design firm and more interested in building a brand.
Interesting.
We really wanted e-commerce to be what we built.
Yep.
And I love the design, but I love it so much that it's not a reality to scale that side of the business too much. I want to be involved in the projects. And we tier out the projects. So I'm only involved in a select few projects.
Yep.
And that is allowing me to have like a research lab of sorts. I get to hear the feedback from clients. I get to see what our designers are pulling, what we're missing in the marketplace, what I wish was there, and apply that to our e-commerce business. The product side of our business is now much, much larger than our design firm. So it is about McGee & Co. is 85% of our business. And then we have licensed lines. The design firm is smaller, but the best advice would be to start almost a tiered approach to growing designers. And they start out as a junior and then they move up to, just a designer level and then a lead level, they are getting the best training by just putting in the time and learning from the designers who have worked closest with me. And that, if you implement those stepping stones for people, it gives them something to aspire to grow into. And it also gives them more and more responsibility as they go on. Yeah. And then of course, there's tools like Basecamp and Gather and things like that to manage the projects. But it's really hard to just throw someone, even if they have a lot of experience, into that lead designer.
Yeah, I know.
Role.
It's really hard.
You probably understand. I think it takes time for them to understand what the principal designer likes and dislikes.
And I have such a tremendous amount of respect for you and the way you've kind of carved out your time. It's so smart. I have not figured that out, but I would like to. I'll take a lesson from you today. But when you consider your business and all the different factions of what you do, you've got product at Target, you've written 2 books, you manage the design firm, you partner with Netflix on Dream Home Makeover. How do you recharge yourself creatively?
Vacations are our love language as a family and for Sid and I. So we realized early on that the only way to completely disconnect from all of the needs of the business was just leave. You just got to run away for a second.
Really? That's so smart.
It wasn't, if we said, we're going to take a weekend at home, we'd end up on our phones. Something about the physical, just leaving the home for a second and going on a trip is how I can completely disconnect and engage with my kids and my husband, depending on the trip. But even if it's a 2-day trip, it's just something about leaving for a second. So we really try to carve out time for those. Do
you guys have a favorite spot you go to?
As a family, we love going to Alice Beach in Florida.
Yeah, write that down.
Oh, you need to go there.
I've never been.
It's incredible.
Really?
Okay. So the area, it doesn't have hotels. It's all homes. And so Bobby McAlpine has designed so many of the homes, and Jeffrey Duncan, so many homes. So you can rent a home. You have everyone, they've designed them so that you can, everyone's got their own bedroom, bathroom, beautiful kitchen. I mean, the design alone is reason to go.
Yeah,
but then you're steps away from sugar white sand and crystal clear blue water. And for me, it is our ideal family vacation spot.
I love that. Speaking of husbands and vacation and spending time together, how is it working with your husband? Because it's a tall order, but I'm interested to hear, how it began and how it's been.
I started, it was just me and an assistant. And when Sid and I, so he left his job and he was working with family and was adamant that he was never going to work with family again. And
that's usually how family business goes.
Yes. So that was how that was going. And as he figured out his next project, I said to him, well, maybe you could help me on the operations side just while you figure it out, And he takes a look at what I was doing and was appalled, one, by my how I was running my business, but 2, the fact that, 80% of my time was spent doing the operations. It was ordering and it was communication and it was, and then I had, just a little bit of time left to design. And so I think he saw that as a personal challenge to free up time for more creativity. And so that's always been a huge part of our philosophy as entrepreneurs and owning a design firm is take all of the weight that we can off of the designer's plates operationally, provide resources like project management and those types of resources so that the designers can focus on what they do best. And I think that really came from the fact that Sid and I worked together so closely in the beginning, and he could see how much it was taking away from my ability to create exactly. He also saw how antiquated the interior design industry was. I mean, it was 2013. I was still faxing things.
They love a fax.
Yeah, the love of facts.
My husband was still sending out printed checks. I'm like, who's printing checks anymore, Nate?
Yeah.
You got to stop.
Yeah.
It's time.
So do you work together occasionally?
No, some projects we work on together, but and then the TV show that we did for a while, we were together. But aside from that, we kept it separate. Our styles are so different. And I think, when I met him, this is such an overshare, but, we were at such different places in our career. He was Nate Burgess, and I was, a failed design assistant who had just started my design firm and had one person working with me. So I worked really consciously and expeditiously to build something separate from him so that I was very proud. I didn't want him to be responsible for anything. So, but I will say, doing the show, there is an intimacy working with your spouse that goes even deeper than being married with somebody. How do you guys think that you figured out the balance with that? How do you complement each other?
Sid and I are exact opposites in almost every single way. He's the fun guy.
You're fun too. What are you talking about?
I love to be around fun people. And but he also is a lot more focused on operations. He looks at something and immediately thinks, how can this be done faster, quicker, and, more efficient? And I'm like, how can we make it look prettier than it is? So that's the dynamic is there's a real push and pull. And I think for us, the reason it works really well is because we don't do each other's jobs, because I trust fully that he is doing his side of the business and he's not going to jump in and recommend a wallpaper to me ever. It's just,
So jealous.
I will say, I'd love to, and maybe I'd love to talk about the show. The show, having a show and running a design firm is maybe one of the hardest things I've ever.
Do you like doing it?
To be honest?
Yes. Give me the truth.
It was really tough.
I know. This is the thing people don't understand. Design television is really fucking hard for a lot of different reasons. What was so difficult for you? Which part? I mean, you and I could talk about this over cocktails.
Let's start
for hours.
Yes. Yeah. Maybe next time in the city. Yeah. I would say that it's really hard because when you finish a project and you get that warm fuzzy and the clients are so happy, and then you hear people say, I watched this show with my family, I almost melt. It makes me.
That's the best part.
It's so good. And I still, to this day, the show's not been, we haven't been filming for years, and people are still saying, it makes me feel good inside when I watch your show, and it's inspired me to make my home feel better. And I hear that. And all of the hard things kind of seem to go out of the window until I really think about them again. And it's so difficult because on our show, we only had, throughout 4 seasons, there were only about 4 clients that were ours to begin with.
Yep.
And they're cast. So you're adding those onto your plate, and those are cast for more around storyline than the home has good bones, or the home, the client has a budget that can hire a design firm. And while that makes wonderful television, it creates a lot of complications on the back end. And the amount of money that I spent to just make projects look suitable for television. Good thing I have a furniture business. I would be just running to our warehouse constantly to, oh my gosh, we can't afford half the things in here. All the budget went to the finishes because I don't want to be paying for a new kitchen for somebody, but I can go in and give dining furniture, right? And so that was tough. But also when you're doing a show, those producers approach this like, this is the full-time job now, but I still have another job, couple of other jobs, feels like that, on top of it. And so you understand that. And so when does that happen? The only thing, you only have so much time in the day. So there's a couple of things that happen. Either things get dropped or you delegate everything and you lose a little bit of touch with your business. And now that we're not filming the show, it's been really good for us to dive back into things. And I think that in hindsight, I probably would only do a show again if I was really selective about the formula and how long the filming process was going to take, because ours was a 10-month process.
Yeah.
And that was a big commitment. I'm like, I want to be a judge. That sounds great.
That's what we should do. Let's bring back we should
design
do?
star. We need a design
Yes.
star situation. And
Oh my God, we've got 2 judges right here.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Great judges.
Oh my God, we'd have a blast. And I love an in-studio show.
Yeah.
Because I mean, listen, the thing that's really complicated about design television, especially, is yes, the best part of doing the design show, which we're done doing Nate and Jeremiah by design now after 7 seasons. The best part was the stories and the fact that we got to come into people's homes as a family like ours and share who we are. And people were lovely. And I think you can learn a lot in your living room, and it can open up your heart and your mind to things because there's nobody around you to tell you what to do. You just get to experience. So that part was so beautiful. And I loved the connection part of it. But yeah, the thing about design television is it's just been so unrealistic for so long. And, especially for us, we wanted to create a show where people felt the design and it wasn't just transactional, where it was about flipping it and selling it. And so it's harder and it takes longer and it's more, it's there's a lot of layers to it.
Yeah. Right.
But it's not easy. And like you said, it is such a time suck. And to kind of keep that going and then maintain everything else and then show up for everybody. And by the way, you have 3 kids. So we have 2, which is enough. I can't even imagine.
2 very cute kids. They're so adorable.
God, same to you. I can't believe your son's 10, right?
No, I have 3 girls. So I have
daughter,
11, 8, and 3.
How's 11? How's 11?
She's starting to become a teenager.
Oh God, our daughter's 9, and I'm like, she's like, we're in like a new chapter, but that's okay. Yeah, the conversations are a lot different. I'm like,
a lot of questions.
So many questions. I'm like, I don't remember feeling safe enough to ask these, but here we go.
Yeah.
How do you stay inspired with everything you're navigating?
I think the answer is same as how we recharge as a family or as a couple, and that's traveling. I just get so much inspiration from just leaving and seeing and being inspired by the places I go. I'm very inspired by fashion. And as you mentioned, it comes first in my mind. It's a faster moving industry. And so I'm always looking to colors and shapes and materials and what's coming. If we're seeing a lot of red, a year or 2 ago in fashion, inevitably it's going to be creeping into interior design soon. And so it's a big part.
It's so funny too. It usually is like that 2-year rule before it trickles into like the houses. So everything you've got going on, everything you built, where do you want it to go? Like, what do you see yourself and like ideally? And I wish I hate this question, but I'm interested to know just for you. Like, what's the goal for you?
Yeah. So our goal is to build the company to the point where we can sell it.
Yep.
And we want to, if I'm just saying exactly what I want to sell it, but I still want to be involved in the company from like a visionary perspective, but to take more of the day-to-day operational side off.
More space.
A little bit more space.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Rapid fire questions. Do you have any heirlooms that have been passed down to you?
I don't have heirlooms that are passed down to me, but my grandma and my mom were really good about doing heirlooms. I mean, I guess they weren't necessarily passed down.
Yeah.
I have a few pieces of jewelry from my great grandmother, who was a big traveler, that were passed down to me. But my mom was really big about, doing like this silver, like a true silver cup or a little spoon and things like that. And so I love those little treasures, and those are things that will, carry with my kids.
I love that. What's the most interesting place that you visited recently?
Well, we took the kids to London and Paris this past spring break, and that was their first time out, in Europe, and that was really fun. But I would say that the most inspiring place I went recently was Majorca.
Yep.
I was really inspired by my time there.
That's so beautiful.
It was so beautiful, and it just smelled like jasmine, and it was.
How long did you stay for?
We were there probably 8 days.
Oh my God, I'm so jealous. That sounds.
Have you been? Have you been?
Yeah, I've been years ago, but I need to go back.
You have to. I know these are rapid fire, but you need to stay at La Residencia. Okay. It's the Belmont Hotel there. You will just be in heaven. It's it's gorgeous and the design is so thoughtful. And yes.
Amazing. What are you watching right now?
I'm watching a show called Slow Horses on Apple TV. It's like a
I don't know what that is.
MI5 kind of mystery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm watching Housewives of Orange County, so it's really highbrow over here.
Nice.
Yeah, super highbrow. And my husband's always like, "Oh, great, here we go."
Are you only Orange County or?
No, I'm everywhere.
Okay. Oh, you're in Salt Lake too. Okay.
Live for Salt Lake.
Okay.
And my dear Tan, who is a friend of mine, every time I visit him, I'm always like on the hunt for everybody. He's like, they don't really live here. Don't worry.
No,
I'm like,
they don't.
Damn it.
They rent houses here. I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Except for Mary Crosby lives there.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of them do, I think. But yeah.
If you could become an expert instantly in something else, what would it be?
I have two things. One,
Yes.
I would want to be able to draw. Two, I picked up tennis as an adult, and it's so hard to learn things as an adult that I wish I could actually really play.
Tennis is so hard. I dated, like in my 20s, I dated a tennis pro, and he tried so hard to get me to learn. And I was so bad at it. And I was good at sports, but I could not get tennis. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate the time. Thank you for doing this. I know you're super busy.
Yeah.
I want to make a quick thank you to Shea. It's always really fun for me to sit down with another creative. We don't get the opportunity to do it enough. She has built such an amazing company and she moves to the world with such thoughtfulness. It was an absolute pleasure getting to meet her. And I'd love to hear more about the special places and the pivotal moments in your life. Be sure to post, comment, or tag us on Instagram at CA Closets. Thanks to the amazing team behind the scenes, this episode is produced by Rob Schulte and Rachel Senator at Sandow Design Group.